Welcome back to Hyperbaric Podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Masha, and today I have with me Dr. Paul Barattiero. He is from Eco Technologies H2O, and we're going to talk about hydrogen. Welcome to the show, Dr. Paul. I'm really excited to have you with me today.
Yes, it's awesome. I'm honored to be here with you.
I'm going to give a brief introduction. Hyperbaric therapy uses oxygen as a nutrient and oxygen as a gas. Another gas that could be used, for example, is ozone. Not in a hyperbaric chamber, but that's another form of a gas therapy. Hydrogen is a gas too. So here we go. We have all these different gases that have different effects on human health. And when we use it properly, we can achieve absolutely brilliant results. Dr. Paul developed special technology that uses hydrogen and that helps prevent disease and reverse disease. So we'll talk about that. I want to know everything, starting from what is hydrogen, what does it do, how do you use it in the machines that you guys produce and supply all over the world, because hydrogen therapy is one of the therapies that can be integrated with hyperbaric therapy.
Yep.
So my first question, what is hydrogen besides the fact that it's a gas?
Yeah, so hydrogen is number one on the periodic table. It is very small. It is one of the building blocks of our body. So if we really think about our body, we have carbon hydrogen chains throughout our system. When we look at stomach acid, it's HCl, but that H stands for hydrogen. So most every system in our body requires hydrogen to function normally and naturally. Now, our bodies are designed by the Creator to produce hydrogen on their own. So the design of our body, the human body, is to produce hydrogen when we're fermenting or digesting food in our colon. And that's where we would have a supply of hydrogen naturally. Because of gut damage, we don't produce hydrogen the way we should. And that's a big problem for oxidation and inflammation in the body, because the primary role, one of the primary roles of hydrogen gas in our body is to modulate or to manage oxidation so it doesn't get to oxidative stress and then chronic inflammation, which is the leading cause of disease. So hydrogen is critical. Hydrogen is electron rich, so it gives electrons to our body. It gives a lot of energy to our system. And of course, you know that hydrogen, when you combine hydrogen gas and oxygen gas, you create a beautiful liquid called water. Now, a lot of people think that hydrogen is in water, but really there's no hydrogen gas in water. It's now a new substance, a liquid that is called water. And so that is very, very important to understand the difference, because there is no hydrogen gas available unless we separate water molecules, which is what we do. And we can talk about that later. But hopefully that gives people a little bit of information about hydrogen. But hydrogen doesn't have a taste. You can't get too much of it. There's no way to get too much of it. And so hydrogen is amazing for the body.
Excellent. So hydrogen is in water, but when we drink just regular water, we're not getting hydrogen. It's
Not
a
at
gas, but it's not in the air that we're breathing.
Right.
So we have to produce, so basically you have to have a healthy microbiome and healthy gut in order to produce enough hydrogen. Now,
Yes.
a tricky question. Let's say a person is really healthy. I know nowadays it's very rare to find somebody who is really healthy, but let's say we find a person like that. Can they produce sufficient amount of hydrogen, as much hydrogen as the person needs, or they still can supplement with hydrogen and get benefits?
Yes. When people are healthy, they're not going to feel the benefits as quickly and as rapidly as someone who has a need to be fixed or someone that has a chronic disease. However, the entire body needs, no matter how healthy a person is, hydrogen is critical. And when we put hydrogen into our system, then it improves our energy, it improves our mental function, our brain function, cognitive function. It lowers oxidative stress in the body for joint issues, for pain, for these types of things. And so it's important that everyone have hydrogen. And unfortunately, I believe 97% of the population have gut issues, and therefore they all need hydrogen gas.
There's a supplementation, and in which forms you can get hydrogen in. So let's say I want to supplement with hydrogen. What are my options?
There are different ways to get hydrogen gas into our body. As I mentioned before, the best way would obviously be the body producing hydrogen on its own. So the way that happens is we have to have the proper gut bacteria, and then we would convert fiber and fatty acids into hydrogen gas. And we call that flatulence, right? Part of flatulence is hydrogen, methane. There's several gases that are processed when we're digesting food or fermenting food.
Sorry to interrupt. Does it mean that flatulence is a good thing?
Yeah. Yeah.
So people who don't produce gas, they're actually deficient in hydrogen?
Well, people that don't produce gas means that they don't have the appropriate bacteria in the gut.
Mm-hmm.
And many times, if they don't have the proper bacteria in the gut, they'll not be able to process all food types naturally. So we should have 91 to 96% of the bacteria in the gut should be anaerobic microflora. Now, the problem is if people have taken antibiotics or have pesticide use or any of these kind of things, it can change the electrical potential in the tissue of the gut lining. And then you end up with more aerobic bacteria. And aerobic bacteria wants carb and sugar instead of fiber and fatty acids and naturally occurring foods. So most issues that people have with food allergies are all based on the bacteria that's in the gut. And the bacteria in the gut, if we're just breathing hydrogen gas in, for example, it's not going into our gut. We need the hydrogen in the gut to repair the gut so that our body can function naturally. So the best way would obviously be the way our body was created, which is to create gas on its own so that all these pathways can be modulated with hydrogen gas. But because of gut damage or gut dysfunction being most of the population, then we're not producing hydrogen gas the way we're supposed to. We're not, therefore, managing oxidation in the body properly. And so we end up getting oxidation. And as it continues to rise, we'll have oxidative stress, which is where cells begin to not function properly. And as a result of oxidative stress, the body will now deploy inflammation as a tool to fix it. And that's fine for a temporary process or a temporary, response from the body. But if we don't take away the source problem, then the combination of oxidative stress and chronic inflammation causes disease models. And so this is the pathway how we get a disease. And, so hydrogen can stop all of that and should be stopping all that. But the problem is the electrical potential in the gut tissue is wrong. And so it stimulates an environment or a biome or what we call a terrain for the wrong bacteria. Hydrogen can fix that. And that's one of the main reasons you want to get hydrogen into your system down into the colon so it can fix or reverse the polarity of the gut tissue so that the anaerobic microflora can have a home and can build communities, and we can have proper immune function, we can have proper energy levels, ATP, all these kind of things. That is all what happens when we fix the gut, and we can do that with hydrogen. So the ways to get hydrogen are, number one, the body should be producing it on its own, but because most people have a dysfunctioning gut, you're not able to do that. So that's the best, but it's not able to do it, which is why I developed the machinery we're talking about today. The second and most effective would be to get hydrogen gas dissolved in water that you are drinking. And what that means is you have H2O, and inside of the H2O, you have H2 gas. And that now is available to the body. H2O water, the hydrogen's not available. And you need water for hydration. And in me developing the echo machines that dissolve hydrogen gas, water becomes the vehicle to get hydrogen gas into the body. And that's really what we're accomplishing. You just drink water and boom, you have hydrogen gas. So if you can imagine, you have water and then you have H2 gas all mixed in. And so that would be the best, because water is going to get down in the colon, through the stomach, through the duodenum or duodenum, into the small intestine, then into the colon, and you're going to get hydrogen gas into your intestinal tract, which is where we want it to repair the gut.
I just want to give an analogy with hyperbaric oxygen therapy, because what we do, we dissolve oxygen under pressure in plasma and other bodily liquids, so this oxygen can get where it needs to go. So basically here is it the same type of technology where hydrogen gas is dissolved in water so it can get where it needs to get to the gut. Interesting.
Yep. The first thing that's going to happen when you drink water with hydrogen gas, it's going to hit your stomach. That hydrogen gas is going to selectively stimulate a hormone in the body called gastric ghrelin. Grelin. So many people don't know what ghrelin is. They know what leptin is, but they don't know what ghrelin. Ghrelin is called the hunger hormone, not because it makes you hungry, but when you're hungry, ghrelin is released. And there's many pathways that are modulated by ghrelin secretion, but hydrogen is what stimulated ghrelin in the first place. So if you were to do EEG or test the brain within 3 to 5 minutes of drinking water with hydrogen gas in it, you have ghrelin secretions going to the hippocampus, the hypothalamus, and the brain stem, being able to modulate cognitive function. Plasticity, 32% change in plasticity, 58% change in alpha and beta waves. So huge benefits for brain function. People that have ADD or any of these kind of things, they say, oh my gosh, I feel so clear when I drink the water. My mind feels clear. And so it's very, very important. So that's the very first thing you would feel is in your mind, your brain functioning better. And then very soon you would feel an increase of energy if you needed that. People always talk about the increased sleep. They slept like they haven't slept in 10 or 20 years, depends on the person. So there are many different things that occur. We had someone the other day who had gotten bad food and they were feeling really sick and drank water, and 15 minutes later they felt 100%, which was great. So there are many different things that hydrogen can do in the body. Joint issues are a big thing that affects society right now. And hydrogen will reduce the joint issues because they're really oxidative stress and inflammation. Anyways, hydrogen will reduce that. Even rheumatoid arthritis, very serious joint issues. So again, 1,250 studies so far, over 200 disease models. And so pretty much anything you can imagine, from cancer to diabetes, Parkinson's, Alzheimer's, heart issues, hydrogen has tremendous disease modifying effects on
and because it works on the gut. Obviously it's going to stimulate the gut, am I correct? Yep. So let's say if somebody is chronically constipated, it should help with that.
Yeah, 100%.
Can it produce diarrhea or like loose stools?
No, it should not. It's really going to make you regular.
So it's going to give people more energy. It's going to drastically improve their cognitive function. So it should be amazing for brain injury, and also I suppose for long COVID, brain fog.
There are 9 studies currently. If you go to hydrogenstudies.com, which is a website that we developed, hydrogenstudies with an s.com. If you were to type in COVID, you would see 9 studies on long COVID. There's all kinds of things. You can type in anything you want and you'll see as it relates. You can type in telomeres, you can type in nitric oxide. You can type in stem cells, all the popular things today. You can type in there because hydrogen stimulates stem cells and nitric oxide and, all these kind of things. But with long COVID, a lot of people have lung issues and they have oxidative stress and inflammation and what we call cytokine storms that are creating problems. Hydrogen is effective with all of those things.
So before I get into technology that you use
Yep.
to produce hydrogen, I want to ask you, of course, questions as it relates to integrating hydrogen supplements or supplementation with hydrogen, I should say, with other
Yep.
therapies. Because I personally strongly, I'm an integrative doctor. I strongly believe that therapies should be stuck on top of each other, used together, maybe not all 20 therapies, but we can combine them, right, to get the
Yes.
synergistic effect.
Yeah.
And I do a lot of hyperbaric therapy. How can I combine hydrogen with hyperbaric therapy, and can it be combined?
Absolutely. It's excellent to combine it. It's being done at many hyperbaric chamber facilities in the United States. And the way to do this, the easiest, is to give a glass of water, let's say 4 to 6 ounces. Don't give a ton of water because you don't want to have to go to the bathroom while you're in there, but get a small amount of water with hydrogen gas in it so that you get that hydrogen gas in your system. Then after you're done your hyperbaric session, then you drink more water because you don't have the constraint of being in the chamber. You can go to the bathroom or whatever you need to do. But drink at least 16 ounces, 20 ounces of water right when you get out of hyperbaric. So having it before you go in, having it after you get out would be huge, huge benefit in concert or connection or combination with hyperbaric. I have a funny story for you. In 1975 through 1978, they were doing studies on hyperbaric use with hydrogen gas in the US for cancer and tumor growth. And so going way back to 1975, they were using hyperbaric chambers with hydrogen gas in them. And so there are benefits, there are studies there. Now the whole industry really has gone to oxygen because it's so much easier to get oxygen into the environment. But hydrogen was used and is beneficial. So combining the therapy we know is good. We know there's no contraindication. There are 1,250 studies, 3,000 articles, no contraindications yet. So it's pretty solid. The science is very solid. The lack of hydrogen causes a lot of things not to work. And as I mentioned earlier, HCl or hydrochloric acid in the stomach, if you don't have hydrogen, you can't make stomach acid. So people that can't make stomach acid have issues with digestion.
A lot of a lot of issues. They basically, a lot of people who don't have enough hydrochloric acid will end up with autoimmune issues.
That's right.
Or chronic infections, or it's just really one of the core things that need to be present. And you're absolutely right, you need hydrogen in order to get that. So I understand that you need to get it. It's excellent when you have enough. It's really very unfortunate when you're deficient, and most people are deficient.
Yep.
The best way to get hydrogen is through the water. Now, on the market, there are many ways of getting hydrogen. For example, there are hydrogen pills that are dissolved in water. Another thing I saw was on Amazon. It looks like a kettle. So you pour water into it, you plug it in, and it does something. And then it claims that it has hydrogen in it. Yeah. And I did try it, and I didn't feel any benefit.
This is the unfortunate truth. Because of my work that I did starting in 2009, 2010, 2011, a lot of people are trying to piggyback talking about hydrogen, but unfortunately, they're just using traditional electrolysis that really creates alkaline water. It's not really designed for hydrogen. And the reason I say that, the electrodes themselves have to be completely clean if you're going to dissolve hydrogen gas, because hydrogen has to be kept nano sized to be able to dissolve into water. The problem with most of the devices on the market is they get calcium or mineral buildup on the electrodes, and then the bubbles, the hydrogen bubbles, get too large and they cannot be dissolved unless you use pressure. And so the problem arises that people are selling all kinds of things on Amazon, online, everywhere, that are reported to be hydrogen devices, but really they're not. They're marketing inappropriately. So Echo, the brand Echo, which I started, is the only true hydrogen water devices in the world that have IHSA certification. IHSA is out of Japan. It's the International Hydrogen Standards Association. And we're the only company in the world with machines that are approved or met the standard. Not only do we meet the standard, but we tripled or almost quadrupled the amount of hydrogen in when they were testing in the laboratory. So be careful what you're buying. We do have a pitcher, a battery operated pitcher that is IHSA certified and does produce hydrogen gas. And the thing that's most important, separating water molecules, you have hydrogen and oxygen gas. If you don't get the oxygen gas out of that chamber, then they can recombine and they can become water, they can become Brown's gas, they can do all kinds of things. Same thing occurs with the tablets. When you're using the tablets, it's the most expensive way to get hydrogen, and it's nowhere near as effective of having pure H2 in water, because with the tablets, you're separating water molecules using magnesium, but you're not sending the oxygen anywhere. And I'll give you an example. For here is one of our portable units. You're just pushing the button and you can see hydrogen going up. So you've got hydrogen going into the bottle. On the bottom is a port where oxygen is coming out. And so that's the big difference, is you want hydrogen, like you see those bubbles, you want hydrogen going in, but you want oxygen coming out. And so all of our devices are proprietary. All of our devices have this type of a setup where you have hydrogen going in, oxygen coming out to the environment for people to drink it. And that is how you guarantee that you have only hydrogen gas, because that's where the studies are showing is a benefit when it comes to hydrogen getting in the body. So that's a big difference that we have. Also, you can use distilled water, you can use reverse osmosis, you can use clean filtered tap water, you can use whatever you want with our systems. But with other systems, you can't use distilled water. For example, you can't use pure water because they need the minerals. We don't need the minerals. And so it's very important for people to understand the differences in the equipment on the market. You know, some of these products online only have like 6-month warranty or maybe a year warranty. On this device, we have a 5-year warranty, for example. On our machines, we have a 10-year warranty. And so it's completely different. They're designed to last. This bottle will last you 3 to 5 years very easily, no matter how much you use it. Whereas many of the ones online that are less expensive, they might break in 6 months. And so you're actually spending far more money because you have to buy more of the devices because they break.
So before we get into contraindications, I want to say that for those who are listening or watching us on YouTube, if you want to get a hydrogen producing machine or that portable thing, which I really regret I didn't get when I was in US last month, so I'm going to be ordering it to Spain, which is a bit more not complicated but lengthy, I should say, to receive it. But anyways, if you want to get one to get all the benefits and to use it together with your hyperbaric sessions, we have a special coupon code for you. It's DR Masha, stands for Dr. Masha, and you can get, only for this podcast, you can get 20% off of your hydrogen producing device. So I would definitely grab this opportunity, because as Dr. Paul explained, and as many other hyperbaric practitioners commented at the IHA conference that I did in June, that hydrogen really goes so well with hyperbaric therapy. It potentiates the effects. It gives this modulating effect, not necessarily just antioxidant effect, right? But it
Right.
modulates the processes, it modulates the immune system. It's a messenger that makes other hormones and other messengers work correctly. And of course, the microbiome.
Yes.
Every integrative doctor, every functional medicine doctor, they start their speech and they end their speech with the health of microbiome. It's super important. It's the root cause of so many diseases. The reason that we have this disrupted microbiome. For example, Lyme disease. I mean, ticks were there probably longer than us,
Right.
right? They've, I don't know how many, I don't know, hundreds and thousands of years. Why all of a sudden now it's such an epidemic?
Yeah. Well, it's like, why is food allergies so common now? Gluten and dairy. We've been eating gluten and dairy for 2000, thousands of years on this planet. Why all of a sudden can we not handle it? It's because of gut issues. I tell people, take the challenge. This is not a guarantee. So I'm going to give you the fine print. This is not a guarantee, but I'm going to tell you that many people tell us, they report after they're drinking our water for 2 weeks properly, which means they're going to drink at least 16 ounces, 32 ounces of water per day. They have no more gluten and dairy issues after 2 weeks. So keep in mind, I'm not telling you that's going to happen to you. I'm telling you that's what people tell us. Now, I can tell you why with the microbiome. There are many studies at hydrogenstudies.com. If you type in intestinal, you type in microbiome, you type in any of these kind of things, you're going to have studies come up showing that hydrogen can help normalize toileting and bowel and bladder product, that it normalizes the microbiome, the lining of the gut itself.
I know what it's like not to be able to eat all kinds of foods, which is fine, but really sometimes, or a little more often than sometimes, you really want this because you're sitting, especially here in Europe, you're sitting at a big table, everybody's eating dairy, and like you really want to share this with other people. You know, the social connection that comes through food as well. So definitely worth trying. Are there any contraindications to hydrogen supplementation?
Nope, there are none. After 1,250 studies, 3,000 articles, there's not one contraindication. There's also no age group that is not supposed to, I mean, which should make sense, because if we're supposed to produce hydrogen in our gut, then babies fart too, right? And so understand that there is no negative to hydrogen gas, as long as you're getting true hydrogen gas. And so Brown's gas is different, other things are different, but when you're getting true hydrogen, then this can help you immensely for your body to function the way it was designed to function. And again, people say, what are the first things I'm going to notice? Well, you're going to notice what you don't have, you have again. That's really what you're going to notice, whether it's energy in the afternoon, not getting fatigue if you're an athlete. We have professional athletes that use our water worldwide and they don't fatigue. They are actually able to participate in their sport and not have lactate buildup in the muscle and not have what's called exercise-induced muscle decline. So whether you want energy, you want less fatigue, you want mental clarity, you want blood pressure less, you want diabetes to be affected positively, heart rate variability, all kinds of things. What really got everyone excited about hydrogen in 2009 was a study published by Nature Medicine about the fact that hydrogen is a selective antioxidant. And this is really very critical to understand, because there are many antioxidants on the market and all of them are what's called an electron donor. That's how typically a antioxidant works. It donates an electron to your body. Well, the problem with that is once it donates its electron, it now becomes a pro-oxidant, and your body has to deal with that. Now, I've seen multiple studies where people were doing high antioxidant regimes, and most of them got cancer, because antioxidants, like antibiotics or antibacterial, they don't discriminate against good and bad radicals. So antioxidants don't discriminate between good radicals and bad radicals. And unfortunately, most of the radicals are life-sustaining, or they have what we call a physiological role in the body. What was amazing about hydrogen is hydrogen was a selective. It only reached and react with cytotoxic oxygen radicals. So things like superoxide, hydroxyl radicals, which is the most cell damaging radical in the human body, hydrogen only reacted with them and stopped them from functioning. But hydrogen did not react with any radicals that had a physiological role, or in other words, were beneficial to the body. So this is why everyone kind of freaked out about hydrogen back in 2009, 2010, because it is a selective antioxidant. And that freaked
makes
everyone
me
out.
think actually right away that for people like patients with Lyme disease who might have difficulty with hyperbaric treatments at the beginning, because hyperbaric is oxidative therapy, right?
That's right.
It produces oxidative stress, hormetic effect, which makes us produce more antioxidants. But sometimes, and in cancer as well, what we see that there is more oxidation than the body is being able to counteract it with into. So for this particular patient base, I think supplementing with hydrogen before going into a hyperbaric chamber and when they get out of a hyperbaric chamber would be an excellent idea, because it would really help them to get through this series of hyperbaric treatments, get the benefit, and at the same time not feel the effects of this increased oxidative stress. What about kids on autistic spectrum?
So we have studies on autism showing low ghrelin secretion levels. And so when you drink the hydrogen water, it's going to raise the ghrelin secretion levels. And many times you see the behaviors modified or gone. So it's very powerful for autism.
So if people want to get one of your machines or that portable thing that I really like, because you can like carry it with you, right? Is it battery operated?
Yeah, lithium ion battery, rechargeable.
And where people can get that, like on a website?
So, our main website is www, I think everybody knows that part. And then Echo, ECHO, and then H2O. So it's really Echo water, but Echo H2O, like the letter H, the number 2, and the letter O. Don't do H20, do H2O, like oxygen. And that's your website. So echoh2o.com. And then when you type in the name of the amazing Dr. Masha, you will get wonderful discounts. And we would love for you to go to our website. Also, please visit www.hydrogenstudies.com, and you can type in any pathway, any disease model. And if there's a study relating to that, it will populate.
I really like that. Actually, not everybody will read the studies, but nowadays a lot of people do, a lot more than in old days. And I've seen people come to the patient visit with some studies printed, or they would send me studies by email and ask me to comment and say, okay, what about this and what about that? So I really appreciate it, because it sort of helps the person to take responsibility for their own health, to know what they're putting inside, and not only me or you or somebody else telling everybody that hydrogen is good for you, but actually looking at the studies and seeing the evidence, the results. I think it's excellent. We should do more of that for every modality. We should have websites like that. Thank you, Dr. Paul. It's been amazing. I learned a lot. I personally did. I'm sure my listeners also. Guys, if you found this helpful, please give this episode likes, because it will help other people see it. And if you think somebody can benefit from this episode, please send them a link. And of course, subscribe to our channel to receive more videos like that every week. Thank you for being on a podcast with me today, and I'll see everybody next week.